Hey y'all, and welcome back. And so today, what we're going to be doing is some good old cheesy macaroni and cheese Bahamian style. So here it is. You can use your ziti macaroni or your large elbow, evaporated cream, or any other kind of milk that you want. You have your cheese, onions, and bell peppers. So in this pot, we have the water at a roaring boil. And what I've already done here is I've already salted the water, and that's what you want to do. Heavily salt the water, and this will help with you seasoning it as you go and not having to worry or add too much salt. I chose to use the ziti for this macaroni and cheese. I just like it. It doesn't matter to me. I could either use the ziti pasta or the large elbow macaroni. And we're just going to let this cook. We don't want it soggy. You don't want to overcook your noodles. You want it to be al dente because remember now, you're going to put this in the baker. So this has already been cooking for as long as it needs to be, and I'm going to show you how I test it. Usually, I just grab a noodle, taste it, and we're good to go. But I just wanted you to see what texture that we're going for and the level of al dente, what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to cut it with the knife, and that there's exactly what I want. So we're just going to go ahead and let this drain in the pot. So we're just going to go ahead, drain the water off of it. We're not going to let it sit, okay? So as long as we get the water drained off of it, we're just going to add it back to that same pot that it cooked in because, we have to add the rest of the good stuff to it, okay? So yeah, steam, noodles, camera, you know how the whole thing go. Forgive the hands, I was talking at the same time. So yeah, there goes your macaroni that we're just gonna let the excess water drain from it. We're not gonna add cold water or rinse it or anything. So normally we would add about 2 large eggs. Depending on the pan or how many people you're making it for, it could increase, or the size of the eggs could also determine how much you add. For me, normally, I only add 2 eggs to my macaroni and cheese. And of course, I normally like to go ahead and scramble it, and I add the milk to it. So Bahamians traditionally, we add the evaporated milk to the pot and then the eggs. But for me, I like to combine the two. That way you don't see if the eggs start to cook. You know how you get that scrambled look? Yeah, that ain't cute, and that's not what you want. So for me, I just scramble the eggs and then I add the milk or the evaporated cream to it, and then I mix it and then add it to the pot. But for me today, I'm using almond milk. You can use coconut milk, unsweetened, that is. You don't want sweet macaroni and cheese, unsweetened. So that's good enough for me, and we're just going to go ahead and stir it. So in this pot, and I did a little bit of shortcut on this, so forgive me. The noodles have already been drained, and you see me adding the butter there. So traditionally, you have some people who will go ahead and just do as I'm doing here with the quote-unquote shortcut, or you may go ahead and saute your onions and bell peppers in with the butter, and you just let that cook until they are translucent, and then add it to your macaroni mixture. We're cutting all of that out today. So what you saw me do there was add the egg and the milk mixture that you saw me do earlier, and then I'm just gonna have the butter here, and it's all gonna melt. It looked like it's not doing anything, but I promise you it will all melt together, okay? So we have already added the milk and the eggs and the butter, all that goodness in one pot. And so now we're just going to go ahead and add the onions that I've already chopped, and they are chopped small, as well as the bell peppers. So you can add your green bell peppers. Some people add the red. It's entirely up to you. Some folks I know to add fresh thyme at this juncture. I don't. I just wanted a simple, traditional Bahamian macaroni and cheese. Okay? And of course, traditional could range from family to family, but normally this is how it is prepared. So you saw me add a little bit of the cheese there, and that's just the beginning. So I've added a little bit more of the cheese to this, and I took another shortcut. We normally just get the block of the cheddar cheese, and honey, you grate that. Your cuticles will be crying for help, but the cheese has to be grated and be done to be going into the macaroni and cheese. But I got the pre-shredded ones that I've got from the store, which is a whole lot easier and a welcomed shortcut. So for me, I add several other things here. So I like to add just a little bit of sour cream and a tad bit of cream cheese. That's my preference. I've known some people to add other ingredients. This is just my preference, and I'm just going to add a little bit more milk because I want some more of that liquid in there, just to help with the moisture and to help with melting the cheese. So this is good. This is the mixture that we want. This is ideal, okay? Before we add it to the pan, this is what you want. The cheese is melted. You can add whatever cheese you want, but we just normally just use the cheddar cheese. And I like a spicy macaroni and cheese. So I'm just adding a little bit of my pepper sauce there. I'm mindful that there are some members of my family who cannot take pepper because of their age and their preference. So I don't add too much. I just add just a little bit. Okay, so here it is. I poured it into a greased 9x9 pan, and I'm just going to go ahead and top it with the shredded cheese that the store has already done the job for me. All I'm doing is just putting it over this good old pan of macaroni and cheese. And I like a cheesy macaroni, okay? So it gotta be cheesy. The noodles and all that good stuff have to be cheesy, as well as the top has to be cheesy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add this to a preheated oven of 350 degrees and let it bake for about 25 to 35 minutes, depending on how dark you want the top to be. That's entirely up to you. So I just yanked it out of the pan. See those bubbles? That's all that butter and all that cheese and all that goodness right there. And I promise you this can be good. So now that it's out the pan, just like anything else that you take out of the oven, you want to let it sit for at least about 20-25 minutes, just so it could set up, so when you cut into it, it doesn't pour all over the place. You want your macaroni to stand up a little bit, okay? And this is what we call the Bahamian macaroni and cheese. Bon appetit. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.